The tide's not ideal, the weather's not great, and it's way too busy. So I set out with a plan A.
Right, that's enough of that, eh? As you can probably tell, it was extremely windy on the day that I shot this, and I'm afraid this is going to be another one of those videos where there's quite a lot of voiceovers. What I was trying to say here was that I'd come down to Ayr, just down to the coast. There had been some kind of heavy, dark clouds forecast, and there was a possibility of heavy rain. So I thought I would come down and maybe try and get some dramatic seascapes. And as always, I had a plan B, which was going to involve maybe doing some minimalist photography down on the beach. But of course, as is my luck at the moment, I got there was no stormy clouds, although it was extremely windy, as you can hear, and the beach was absolutely full of people.
Yeah, the original intention, I was kind of hoping it would be dull and overcast and stormy, and I was going to try and take some long exposure abstract shots of the rocks down here. Hope ideally with the castle in the background, but it's looking less likely.
The abstract photography was kind of out as well because there was people walking through the shot all the time. So I decided to spend the afternoon just grabbing shots of the castle. So I started with this one. As you can probably hear, there were quite a lot of children playing around the foot of the cliffs where the castle was. So I decided to climb up and see what the view was like up there. What's left of Greenan Castle now is the remains of an old 15th century tower house, which was built by the Lords of the Isles. But there is evidence that there was a stronghold here as early as 1190. One notable date in the history of the castle is the 12th of May 1602. It was on that morning that Sir Thomas Kennedy and a servant left the castle on horseback with the intention of riding to Edinburgh, but they never made it. Shortly after leaving the castle, they were ambushed and both were murdered in the woods nearby. It's thought it was as retaliation for Sir Thomas killing someone else in battle a year or two earlier. Anyway, the whole thing caused quite a scandal. More than 200 years later, Sir Walter Scott wrote a short play about it, an Ayrshire tragedy, or Auchendrain, I think was its official title.
So unfortunately the conditions haven't been great. The castle's been bricked up so we can't get in. The tide's not ideal, the weather's not great, and it's way too busy.
But hey, we're having fun, right? So anyway, I kind of like this view with the long grass and the castle and in the background Isle of Arran in the distance. And there was a little path to the right which kind of curved around through the grasses towards the castle, so I thought it made quite a nice composition. As the path kind of leads you towards the castle, as do some of those long grasses which are pointing straight to it.
I have quite a bit of contrast between the bright sky and the dark castle, obviously. And normally I would put a graduated filter on that, but because of the really rough outline of the castle, I think a grad just would not work on this occasion. So what I'm doing is I'm bracketing the exposures, try to shoot for the sky and for the castle, and I'll attempt to blend them later on. So yeah, quite like this shot with the iconic Scottish thistles in the foreground there, and then you got this rocky outcrop, and then obviously the castle. So I'm going to try and grab this now.
And then I found this patch of purple and pink flowers just in front of what I think is an old rowan tree, and I thought that made for quite a nice interesting foreground for a shot, because I've never actually shot the castle from this angle before. This is a shot I've never taken before. So you've got the ferns and the thistles on one side, and what I guess is wheat or barley on the other side, and the path between leading up towards the rock and the castle. So I'll grab this shot now, because I think that looks as if it could be quite an unusual shot. I've never taken from this angle before. Then I noticed that the tide was going out and there was some very large pools of water starting to form, and I optimistically went down to the beach in the off chance I might be able to get some nice reflections, but the wind was just so strong that getting anything usable was very difficult. So instead I concentrated on the really colourful seaweed that was starting to become exposed, and grabbed this shot here. So as I wandered back towards the car, I decided to sit down for a little while on an old log and do a piece to camera about the benefits of perseverance, and how even though none of the plans that I'd set out with came to fruition, I still managed to grab a couple of shots that I was reasonably happy with. But obviously that's all been lost in the poor audio, so there's probably another lesson there as well. Anyway, while I was sitting there, I I noticed the actual log itself made for quite an interesting foreground for one last shot, which I think works better in black and white, so I'll leave you with this here. And as always, if you haven't already subscribed, then please consider subscribing and hitting that little bell notification. There'll be a new video every week, and if you've got any suggestions or recommendations on topics or even locations that you think I should cover, then yeah, feel free to leave a message in the comment section below, and see you soon.